Lesson 1. How do search engines work and what is SEO? So let's give you some context first. The reason I'm going to be talking a lot about Google through all of these trainings is Google is the largest search engine. This data is from April 2017. On the left, you can see the sheer number of desktop shares of search. On the right, you can see mobile. So blue is Google. They're clearly dominant. The other two bigger search engines are Yahoo and Bing. Yahoo's actually powered by the Bing database. So the next major player here in the US is really Bing. Now, most of the things that you do to improve your site for Google will actually naturally help you in Bing. Both search engines have a similarity around a lot of stuff. There are a few differences, but most of the time, if you follow Google's rules, you will also be okay with Bing. In relation to demographics, the folks that use Bing tend to be folks that had Internet Explorer installed in their machine already and aren't particularly savvy enough to use a different browser and install Chrome and use Chrome. It's kind of a broad brush, but those are a number of the Bing users. Okay, let's talk about SEO versus SEM. So SEO is search engine optimization. SEM is search engine marketing. It's actually the bigger, broader term that covers all of search engine marketing. So there are two bits to search engine marketing. One is SEO and the other one is running paid ads or pay-per-click. Sometimes you see PPC as the acronym. So the paid ads are in Google search, generally the things that are up above. Sometimes they're on the right, sometimes they're on the bottom. They should have a sort of a distinct look and feel so you can kind of tell they're paid ads. People tend to click more on organic listings. That's the ones in the green. They are two separate teams at Google. They actually don't overlap at all. The only overlap that there is actually from a searcher's perspective. So if I'm searching and I see a brand and it's in both spots, I actually have more of a tendency of clicking on the organic listing, weirdly. And I actually saw this with one of my clients. We ran paid ads. We saw a lift in organic free clicks from the free search listings. We stopped the paid ads and we actually saw the free clicks from organic go down. Rankings didn't change. It was just people clicked on it a little bit less because the paid ad wasn't also running. But anyway, we're going to be talking about the organic listings. Those are kind of your free ads in search. That's the SEO. Let's talk a little bit about how search engines work. So all of the search engines create their listings automatically. They have these things called spiders or bots that crawl the web from link to link, and they read the text from top to bottom, and then they throw that text back to the mothership, back to the database. And then when you and I search, say we go to search and I'm looking for wooden cribbage boards, Google will say, okay, what pages do I have in my index that have the word wooden cribbage boards about them? Or at this point, what pages do I have in my index that write really well around the topic of wooden cribbage boards? And which one's the freshest and which is the most relevant to the searcher's intent and the context of where they're standing? So all of that stuff impacts your pages appearing in search, but that's ultimately how search engines work. They have this thing called an algorithm. An algorithm is basically, you want the answers and not trillions of web pages. So the algorithm is a computer program that's going to look for clues via your data and your searches to give you back exactly what you're looking for. The Google algorithm has thousands of factors. Some are weighted more than others. We don't know all of the features of the algorithm because if we did, then we could potentially spam the search engine. There's always porn sites that want to show up for blue baby booties. And so Google's making sure that doesn't happen. They want to make sure that the search experience for us is good because ultimately they're in the business of selling us stuff via ads. So they want to make sure that we never leave Google and want to go to Bing, basically. So Google changes this algorithm up to 5 times a day. 5 times a day. It's head spinning. They actually test hundreds more than that, but out of all of the tests they do daily, they make 5 tweaks to the algorithm every day. Sometimes they're big and sometimes they're little, but that's part of the reason why if you're in SEO, having a regular diet of reading about the updates is kind of important, so that way you're ahead of where you need to be and you know that Google has made a tweak or a change. It's also important to know that the internet was actually built off of a thesis referencing system back in the day. And the pieces of a thesis are still relevant today. So if you're familiar with a thesis, it has a title and it usually has an abstract, which you can envision like what's called a meta description when you're creating a web page. And then it has headers, and underneath each header is text related to the header. And the headers actually break down the document in a very logical way, covering the major topics. Then there's also references, which you can envision like links. So the internet was built on this kind of system where you could link these theses together, so you can kind of see how that impacts creating web pages today and HTML today. The other important thing to know is everything's personalized to you. It has been for a very long time, and I'll go into a little bit more in depth about how sort of creepy personalized it is now. And now the algorithm is also partially powered by machine learning. So there's a little bit of artificial intelligence going into making sure you have the best results. It used to be that Google didn't tell us what the ranking factors were or what the most important were, but over the last year or two, they've actually told us a little bit about what are the most important ranking factors. Now, they won't actually tell you if content is one and links are two. They just told us that the top two most important factors are content and links. So it might be inverse. It might be links are most important than content, but those are the ones that fight it out for the top two. And after that, the most important part of the algorithm is rank brain, which is their artificial intelligence. Okay, I'm going to add a link to a video where Google talks through their history. I think if you're going to be good at SEO, it's really important to know where Google came from, and how that history impacts what you're going to be doing as an SEO. So what is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. So it's the process of improving your web pages so that they appear in organic search, the unpaid results, for your target users. There's a bunch of places that you could appear in free search, and it's important to think beyond the desktop. So there's mobile, there's desktop, there's voice search, and then a lot of the things that we do for SEO for web pages, I also want you to know, can translate into you appearing in social search as well, because all of those social profiles and platforms have their own search function, and they all work somewhat similarly. And so if you want to appear when people search for you on Facebook, a lot of the things that you do for SEO for a web page would actually help you in social search as well. There's a bunch of things that you could optimize to appear for in organic search. You can appear to get a rich snippet, which you kind of see an example of off to the side. You can appear as a web page. You can optimize videos. You can optimize images. You can optimize social media posts and blog posts and PDFs and Excel files. You can appear in Google Maps and books and news. And there's different techniques for each of these, mind you, but there's a lot of different things that would appear in free search that you can work on optimizing for based on your business or your client. Now, why am I passionate about SEO? Not only do I like the fact that it changes a lot, but also all the research shows that it's the largest driver of traffic for almost everybody. So while it's complicated to execute because of the speed of the changes, and there's a lot of moving parts, it's potentially one of your biggest traffic drivers, if it's not already. Okay, so we covered how search engines work. We talked about Google's history and its future direction, and we walked through a definition of SEO and talked about how much traffic is driven by SEO. So hopefully now you have an understanding of what SEO is and how search engines work.